all taught growing up not to play with fire. I, for one, used to be terrified. When I was a little kid, I would not want to light the candles on my own birthday cake. As a show of hands, who here is also scared of fire? That's a good number of you. So when I first came to MIT and saw MIT Spinning Arts, a fire spinning club, I was like, not a chance in hell am I joining that. But now that I've finally grown up and flown out of the nest, guess what we've been doing?
My name is Kano. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering and public policy.
And my name is Annika. I'm a sophomore studying electrical engineering.
We're a part of the MIT Spinning Arts Club. Let's begin with the basics. What is fire? Fire is a reaction between fuel, oxygen, and heat that results in combustion. Spinning arts is the act of spinning the objects on fire. And these three components of fuel, oxygen, and heat comprise what is known as the fire triangle, a model that captures everything that you need to ignite a flame.
I know all you voyeuristic folks are out here wondering, do we ever burn ourselves? Do we ever catch on fire? The answer is yes, we do. However, most of the time, it's our clothes catching on fire, not our skin burning. We wear all natural fibers to make sure if it does burn, it doesn't stick to our skin like synthetic does. Our most frequent injuries are not actually burns, but knee injuries and overpractice, like any other active sport, like baseball or basketball or soccer. When someone is fire spinning, we always have a second person on standby waiting with a fire blanket called a safety. For example, if Kano's arm is on fire,
oh no!
I would say, Kano, arm, and go to wipe out the fire. It's also the responsibility of the performer themselves to make sure they're very comfortable with a move off fire before trying it on the burn field. Because with all of that said, choosing to dance with fire is a risk and should be treated as such. We spin a lot of different fire props. At its bare bones, a prop is a Kevlar wick to soak up the fuel and a way to handle it. But this very loose definition gives us the freedom to be incredibly creative with making our own props. For example, one of my friends, Josh, combined a meteor dart and a puppy hammer to make a puppy dart with a wick that can slide back and forth between the two nodes to spin as both.
All sorts of innovative props and styles.
Especially in a place like MIT, where we have the means and materials to experiment. These ideas don't just stay on paper. As one of the few fan spinners, I was really curious when Josh and Rin, another one of my friends, said they were experimenting with a new way to make fans. And I was also quite desperate for a new pair of fans at the time because I was the reason the club had 2 pairs of broken fans.
Because Annika is not always too gentle with the props, she needed something that could hold up to her crazy tricks and not give out after falling on the ground in the wrong way.
At first, I was shocked when they told me that. I asked, you know how to weld? And Rin told me they were machining them, which I thought was 10 times cooler, because the ratio of customization to time and effort spent making them was so much higher than the traditional way of making fans. For our first prototype, we used a flexible aluminum so that the metal wouldn't break on impact with the ground. And so then we handed a pair out to the fan spinners so they can play test it. And oh boy, did they play test them. They sent the fans back bent from 2D to 3D, and we loved it. We ended up keeping our first pair of fans as a memento and cutting some new ones out of a stronger aluminum. By the end, they came out with this beautiful fire-like design and a custom handle, and I was like, I want to spin that on fire. And so I did. It's a really unique experience being able to use technology and design thinking for something so very artistic. There's this stereotype that engineers are doing things by the book, that we're so bound to our own rules that just isn't true. And all of our fire spinners, who are engineers by night and circus performers by day, all of us are living examples of this. The process of coming up with a new idea,
trying it out,
getting feedback,
and revamping the design
is something very applicable to the real world. And I think all the cool things we do with fire spinning make us less afraid of thinking creatively and taking action.
When I went to my first fire show, I remember thinking,
oh, that looks so cool.
Oh, that's definitely dangerous.
I could probably never do that.
There was so much fear surrounding this whole ordeal. I didn't want to hurt myself. I didn't want my parents to worry. I didn't want to seem like a fool. All these thoughts led to me talking to myself out of trying something new before even giving it a chance, all based on presumptions. But the thought of joining just kept itching my mind. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. While eating lunch or trying to do an assignment, my mind would drift, and whispers edging me to join eventually grew more persistent.
Try fire spinning, it'll be fun.
Through inquiring with the club, I learned that they had semi-weekly practices, one on fire and one off fire. What did I have to lose by going to an off fire practice? And if it sucked and it really didn't feel right, I could just leave. So eventually, I attended one of the practices, and it was really fun. I was welcomed with open arms by people so eager to teach me new things. Generational knowledge is core to our club. It was heartwarming for me to learn from the teachings of upperclassmen and also to teach others in the coming year, and hope they too continue to do the same for the next generation. Slowly but surely, I found myself roped up in the club, both literally and figuratively. It wasn't as bad as I thought. At first glance, fire spinning can seem stressful. You're moving a dangerous thing at rapid speeds in close proximity to you. Sounds like a pretty stupid idea, actually. But in contrast, most spinners, including myself, find the art form incredibly relaxing. The fire demands your attention. You can't afford to have your mind wander, which sounds like a pretty unpleasant mental experience at first. But ultimately, you get fully locked into the present moment and enter a flow state. It's a place of Zen. There are other forms of entering the flow state.
Like playing a musical instrument?
Or participating in a sport?
Or reading a good book.
It's these moments when it feels like the world just fades away. These used to seem so out of reach to me. It makes me think about Olympians, polymaths, and others considered experts of their field, and I just wonder, how did they even get there? Were they just born that way? It just seems crazy. But then I remember that people had to take steps in order to get there. They didn't just magically hone in on their crafts. And nothing is impossible or nearly as difficult as it seems once you look under the hood. For instance, the event we're currently at is not just a symposium. It is months of organizing, many, many bad speech drafts, and all of you deciding to be here today. Similarly, with the MIT Spinning Arts Club, we all have to go through a fire safety training,
play around with the props,
train off fire,
and then graduate to moving on fire.
There are always steps to get there. There are paths to really whatever you want to do. Some may be more difficult to trek than others, but the human condition is all about moving forward regardless. In essence, anyone can learn anything. In that vein, fire spinning has taught me to not close off any paths. I used to visualize some paths as strewn with knocked down trees and spiked fences that have been put up there by life. But what I didn't realize is that I may have sawed the trees or put up the fences myself. After all, we are our own biggest enemies. As author Marianne Williamson once said in her book, A Return to Love, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is not our light, but our darkness which most frightens us. Or, I guess in our case, it is our fire.
We hope for you too
to dare to play with your fire.
Thank you.